The issue of public education in America is no longer a skill set deficit, it's a will set necessity. We know exactly what works, and here's what works, and this is exactly what we've done. Thus, Lanning is on this stage for 5 different times. Number one, investment on human capital development, but also strategic retention practices in Miami-Dade. What does that mean? Both at the teacher and leader level. Over the past 4 years, we have replaced 64% of all principals, and we are the 4th largest school system in the country. That is a very, very large number. In addition, in collaboration, and respectful collaboration with the teachers union, we've negotiated new contracts and MOUs to provide new focus on the most struggling schools. And yes, harsh conversations. We initially, 4 years ago, had 9 schools under threat of permanent shutdown by the state of Florida because for as long as these schools had been under the state's accountability system, they had never been anything more than an F or a D. And when we inherit these schools, 90 to 91% of the students were not reading at grade level, or not computing at grade level, or writing at grade level. And if we were not to change that, what kind of admission were we embracing in 21st century America? So the first action 4 years ago was actually to terminate those 9 principals. Harsh thing to do, but it was necessary. Since that time, we actually moved 64% of the teachers out. And when we talk about moving them, yes, some of them were terminated, demoted, transferred to other schools. The same was true for teachers. In a very respectful way, we started paying close attention, much as Terry did, to teacher effectiveness. There's nothing more important in a classroom than teacher effectiveness. There's nothing more important in a school than leader effectiveness. And there's nothing more important in the community than social wraparound, the envelope of support for schools. Organizations like TFA and City Year and College Summit and Communities in Schools, we brought all those in to provide the wraparound services. But in the classroom, over the past 4 years, we have not renewed, we have not brought back close to 6,000 teachers, largely on the basis of performance. However, during the past 4 years, in the middle of a terrible economic recession, we never terminated a teacher for economic reasons, nor did we downsize the elective programs of arts and music programs, even though we lost $2 billion of total potential funding. So this has been an exercise of forcing our values to drive the budget, not allowing the budget to redefine our values. And our values have put us back on this stage year after year because we've had the courage and determination to focus on human capital development, identifying the best leaders, the best teachers, deploying the very best to the harshest conditions in terms of student performance in our district. And in 4 years alone, not only did we increase graduation rates by 16% district-wide, the schools that were under threat of shutdown by the state of Florida went from graduation rates below 40%, 34, 39%, in some cases exceeding the district average and the state average, as high as 80 to 85%. And none of those original 9 schools, which we then expanded to 19, 26, and now we have 60 schools under the umbrella of transformation. Out of all those schools, all but 1 have moved into A, B, or C range.
Corona Norco, we believe that the best way to change, culture, behavior, and build a culture that's sustainable and it's positive is through leadership development and capacity building. So the experience you talked about, the Gettysburg seminar, is one indeed that we have found that has really been working for the school district. And so kind of in a nutshell, what we do is every year, this is by the way our 6th year doing this now at Corona Norco, we select about 30 employees, certificated teachers, classified employees, management, and we require all of the principals to attend the seminar as well. So what we do is we partner with a gentleman by the name of Dr. Jeff McCausland out of Diamond Six Leadership based out of Virginia and provide us curriculum that we called Leadership in 4 Directions. And we do that with intensive seminar local at the school sites for about 8 months. And we meet once a month. And the culminating activity is this trip to Gettysburg, which I'll talk a little bit about in just a minute. But at the end of the school year, we would take this group. We'll fly over to Virginia area, And we go through actually a couple more exercises and seminars and workshops, and we learn more leadership type of a coursework and experiences in the area of executive wellness and strategic thinking, how that applies both in the military and non-military settings. And then ultimately, naturally, the highlight is the Gettysburg on the battlefield that one particular day. And so again, we walk the battlefield and we experience what had actually happened the day of the battle. And not only look at it from the perspective of the historics, but more importantly, leadership. You stand there and you think about what's taking place back then, so many years ago, and the decision that the leader had to make on the spot or not, and the impact it has in the outcome of the war. So very, very enriching. We walk away with that. And so we find that, again, to be very, very important for the change in the building of our culture. And ultimately, what we do is we want to make sure that's sustainable. And so when we return back home, we see teachers. We teachers as leaders, as we talked about earlier, leading yourself and leading your peers. Teachers become teacher leaders in the classroom. And during our, what we call the common planning time, the professional learning community time, you see teachers stepping up and leading other teachers. And this happens throughout the school district and system. And quite candidly, and you find some of these teachers and classified employees, and later on have opportunities to become administrators themselves.
We have 4 failing high schools and 5 middle schools that were just a click away. And so we looked around the country to try to find who was doing a good job turning around these schools, and quite frankly, we couldn't find anyone. And so we discovered the work that a young Harvard economist, Dr. Roland Fryer, had done by looking at really what worked in charter schools. And so Roland identified 5 tenets. So we went to our board and talked to our board about this program, and they agreed. And so in these 9 schools that first year, we replaced all the principals and assistant principals. Teachers had to reapply. We added 2 weeks to the school year. We added an hour to the school day. One of the things that we didn't focus enough on to begin with, that we quickly learned our lesson from some of our charter friends, was the importance of high achieving, high expectations culture. And so we really focused hard on that. That initiative has really helped us, we believe, narrow the achievement gap with a lot of our minority students. For example, in those 4 high schools, the first year, 100% of the seniors were accepted into 2- or 4-year universities. And that was phenomenal in our place. We have 35 high schools, and it was fascinating how this program now is morphed over into and bled over into the other schools, where we now have college go centers in all of our high schools. And last year of our 35 high schools, we had 22 of them where 100% of the seniors were accepted into 2- or 4-year universities.
Well, Dan, first of all, it's not easy. I'll be the first to say that. I think, working with the teacher association and classified associations, because they have their interests, they have their job to do, and we understand that. And I don't mean to simplify this, but I think ultimately it comes to fundamentally trust. You have to have trust in order to have collaboration, because ultimately this is a people business, so the relationship is absolutely important. I think another fundamental piece that we really understand, and we're trying to work together, is this belief that student interest got to come first. We believe in that together, and I'm very, very fortunate working in the school district, where our teacher association particularly believe in that. And so I think the next piece we need to put in place is to build on trust and this relationship, and knowing that each other will have a job to do, and it's a matter of give and take, and again, always keeping the best interest of students in mind. And so one of the things that I would say that I'm most proud of in difficult times, as we have in California, I'm sure throughout the country as well, difficult budget times, is that we're able to reach an agreement to commonly make that sacrifice for the better good of the students. And we took a 5% reduction. We did other language build-up, and working through and making sure that the cut takes place farthest away from the classroom as possible. Other districts may have layoffs. Current Norco for the past 3 years, we stay away from that. We want to make sure that we preserve our human resources and keep the classroom intact, and keep those teachers in the classroom where they need to be.
What our board and what our staff really focuses on is to make sure that we have a quality teacher in every single classroom. And that's been a challenge in Houston. One of the things that we have done there is we've worked with our principals, and we've developed a staff review process, for example, where we ask all the principals to come in November and again in February, and we talk about each teacher in each school. And if you could envision one of these walls with a shelf and you were to put a bucket on each shelf, we've asked our principals to, where would you place these teachers from a performance perspective? And we keep having conversations with them until we get the person on the right shelf. And the teachers that are at the top, we ask a really direct question: do they know that they're your best teachers? In Houston, we've been able to retain 92% of our top performing teachers over the last 4 years as using value-added measures of student performance. And so we've asked, do those teachers know how valuable they are to your school, that you don't want them to leave? You don't want them to go to good charters, or you don't want them to go over to other schools. You need them. Are they in leadership positions in your school? And then the teachers at the bottom, do they know they're there? In the first year, we found that only 1% of those teachers were on improvement plans. Now they're all on improvement plans. Now please know that this was not a quartile system where you have to target 25%. You can put them all on the top shelf if you can justify their being there. These other teachers, what were you doing staff development-wise to help move these folks up? So focusing just directly on quality teachers in every classroom, I think, has been a tremendous reform strategy for us. Last year, quite frankly, we very quietly exited about 500 low-performing teachers out of our district.
Not so quietly right now.
Well, you know, we did it with respect, and we did it with dignity, and we did it only after we had really tried to help people get better. And, you know, we were tried to be fair about the process. But it's...
How many teachers in the district?
About 13,000 teachers in the district. But again, remember, we retain 92% of our highest performing teachers in the district. So it's hard to have a great teacher in every classroom if you don't have good teachers there. Knowing you can't fire your way to excellence, we also have a very good staff development program that we have developed and are in the process of continuing to develop, because you've got to train your teachers and move them all up. Well, when we first started Pay for Performance, about 90% of our teachers were receiving some type of monetary reward. Teachers even who had very negative value-added scores, teachers who were on improvement plans received bonuses. And so our board over the years... Merit pay. So our board over the years has not shied away from going back, revisiting, tweaking. Our board, they ask hard questions as they should. And so this coming year, we've moved from about 90% of our teachers getting some type of reward to this year, it's going to be about 28%. So we have fewer teachers. Those teachers are receiving more dollars. The other thing is that we have, like everyone else, suffered from budget cuts. Our merit pay system has moved from about $40 million a year down to $25 million. We have decided we're not going to eliminate it. We think it's part of our culture. The teachers in HISD were overwhelmingly supportive of the program. Now, it's not without its detractors, and we need to say that, you know, right up front. But it has evolved and it has changed. And I'm sure that we will continue to tweak it. We want to make sure that it is a fair program, but that it does reward and help us retain our very brightest and most effective teachers. And again, I personally believe that that's one of the reasons we've had a 92% retention rate of our highest performing teachers as measured by value-added results over the last 4 or 5 years.
In education, everyone here knows we have all these acronyms that stand for everything, and we have an EDW. And everyone in Palm Beach County, all of our instructors and teachers in schools know what that's our educational data warehouse. And it's been around for several years as well. And what it is really a repository. It's where the information, demographic information comes in regarding performance in classrooms, regarding in-school, out-of-school suspensions, regarding absences, and it's all located at one place. So teachers are trained, administrators are trained, district level staff are trained. It is really what is really, I think, that along with our learning team meetings, and I'll talk in a moment about cultures of schools, really got us to where the point that we're at, where we're able to close the achievement gap. So within this educational data warehouse, if you can look at colors and you're not colorblind, then you can see green, yellow, and reds. And the greens mean you're kicking, and the yellows mean we're kind of right on the border, and the reds mean we've got some severe challenges that we need to deal with. So our teachers are trained, our administrators are trained, and then we look at all of our data. We look at our state assessments. We have what's called the Florida Comprehensive Assessment Test. We look at our diagnostic data that we do at a district level. We look at teacher-made exams as well as district-made exams. And we go in and analyze that, again, in a safe place in these learning team meetings. And then the teachers are able to make decisions based upon what the data is. And they're able to correct instruction where correction is needed, or to continue on the same path as well. We're also able to see trends from year to year. We can see the trends from an individual teacher from year to year to see how effective that teacher has been, or a grade level, or an entire school, or an entire area, a regional area, whatnot. We're able to break that down and then to offer the support, the resources that need to come for our teachers and for our schools from the area officers, from the district level, based upon that information. We have what we call red tag service. And those schools that are having some of the biggest challenges and have been identified as having the challenges, then the red tag service, they get academic support maybe over another school because of limited resources, or of their operational support. So it's really a culture within the district. The key, too, has been the culture of our school district. When we talk about culture, it's not just lip service in Palm Beach County. We develop a single school culture and spend a lot of time with this, where they develop norms and beliefs within that school and what that school stands for. And that these are norms and beliefs that not only are we expecting from our students, but we're expecting from our teachers and we're expecting from our leadership. And this is what we stand for, and this is what we're going to do. And it's really tied around the ABCs of academic behavior, and then the culture or the climate of the school, the climate of what does this school feel like. And we take that very, very serious. It's simple to talk about, but it's probably to me the most significant impact of a large urban district of trying then to establish a single district culture so that everything that we do and everything that we say matters, and the focus is on student achievements and hitting their targets.